The Democratic Alliance says problems with the National Student Financial Aid Scheme's ICT system is a reason why the scheme is riddled with challenges. The party presented immediate and longer-term alternatives to the current NSFAS model. The DA says the current system needs an entire overhaul. SABC News reporter Abra Barbier has more for us.
The Democratic Alliance has just updated the media on its position paper on NSFAS and where it thinks the shortfalls are and what it thinks the alternative to the current system should be. I'm going to be speaking to the party's Shadow Minister for Higher Education, Chantal King. Ma'am, thank you so much for speaking with us today. First of all, the statement you made during the briefing, you said something along the lines of this all boils down to an ICT problem. Is that where it all stems from?
Basically, yes, that's where it all stems from. We were provided with a brief from NSFAS that they actually have a long-term challenge. They have huge funding shortfall to sort out the ICT system. And you can actually see that's where it catapults into the interface between NSFAS system and those of the institutions. It is not interlinked, it is not synced. So at the end of the day, students' payments are delayed because of registration schedules that's not going through on time. But it is also delayed because NSFAS cannot make funding decisions quickly from the data that they receive from SASA and South African Revenue Services. So that's the challenge that they have and why students at the end of the day are now being defunded because of that systems challenge.
You also said the defunding, it's not the fault of the students. It boils down to NSFAS just not having the funds to sustain the system.
That's exactly true. As you know, this year, 47.6 million rand is being spent on NSFAS with the injection taking in mind that it ends this year that National Treasury afforded to NSFAS. So obviously you can do the maths. More than 1.1 billion students applied to NSFAS. It is also exacerbated by the fact that the unemployment crisis is escalating. So obviously it opens up more funding requirements for students. And NSFAS obviously won't have the fund to cover everyone that have applied. Hence you will see that appeals have not been coming through. Eligibility, funding criteria are coming out late. And at the end of the day, the students suffer. They cannot apply to study on time, or they are then evicted from their accommodation because NSFAS has not paid.
Now, this position paper, obviously it cannot be implemented right now since the party isn't in government, but you did mention that you have reached out to the minister, and your colleague also even said that they can copy and paste it and they can use it as is.
Yes, that is how serious we are to ensure that at the end of the day, no student is being disenfranchised or disadvantaged by it. So we're actually willing to give this position paper to ensure that at the end of the day, the voices of the students come through, because you can see that they are very frustrated because it's not ultimately about the Democratic Alliance, but it is about the students at the end of the day, and also institutions that must benefit out of it.
Ms. King, thank you so much for your time today. That was Chantal King of the Democratic Alliance, who was helping us to understand what the party's alternative is to the current crisis in NSFAS. Back to you in the studio.